This is the Palin Update on SarahNet Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla.
The way to motivate kids, though, is not necessarily through fear, not at that age especially. I think it was Lou Holtz who had said it best years ago about self-discipline leading to success and self-motivation.
Sarah Palin cares about our kids. This past week, she spoke candidly on the Hannity program about youth sports and those who coach our children. Kids also learn life lessons through scouting. But with the Girl Scouts unraveling before our eyes, where are parents to turn? Today, we provide that answer. Patti Garibay is our guest, the executive director of the wonderful American Heritage Girls, a Christ-based patriotic group that's offering an alternative to the Girl Scouts. The hate mongers come out of the woodwork after one of Governor Palin's kids posts an innocent photo online. A brand new Commonwealth Common Sense with Susan Stimson is on the way, and just ahead our latest edition of Steel Resolve with Sarah Steelman. First, our special guest. With the Girl Scouts continuing to distance themselves from God while promoting pro-abortion political candidates and pro-abortion organizations, many parents are fed up. But many don't know that there is an alternative out there for those seeking a more meaningful experience for their daughters. The group is American Heritage Girls, and I can tell you from my own daughter's experience, it's just wonderful. Today, we chat with the woman who has been there from day one. Patti Garibay, welcome to the Palin Update on SarahNet Radio.
Well, thank you. It's great to be with you.
The Girl Scouts have been in the news again and again for all the wrong reasons. I've heard so many people say they're done with the Girl Scouts or they're not buying cookies this year, but what many of them don't know, there's a wonderful alternative to Girl Scouts called American Heritage Girls. Can you tell us what AHG is all about?
I'd be glad to. AHG is a Christ-centered character development program for girls ages 5 to 18, and it incorporates a lot of the fun activities that made the Girl Scouts great all those years when I was growing up and when I served as a Girl Scout leader. And so today, American Heritage Girls exists really to help girls enjoy their faith, but also have fun while serving others, and it's a great opportunity for all girls.
How did you get started?
Well, back in 1993, I served as a Girl Scout leader for my 3 daughters, actually leading 3 troops. And in 1993, the GSUSA made a very important decision, and that was to allow for, quote, spiritual flexibility and spiritual wording in their promise, thus allowing girls that are atheists to now become Girl Scouts. And that was a big problem for me as a woman of faith. And I really still thought it was important to minister to these girls through Scout-type activities. And lo and behold, the next thing we know is my little club for my daughter grew all across the nation and now even internationally because people want this. And so we are a choice for families who still love scouting and want to have faith-based principles behind it.
I know Maine just formed a troop the other day, and AHG is really strong all over the country now. How many states have troops, and how's the effort to expand going?
49 states, 6 international countries. We're just missing one, and that's Delaware, and we're hopeful that that will happen real soon. But the growth has been astronomical in the last 4 years, about 50% growth, and we're looking forward to that again this year. And we think that the more people know about American Heritage Girls, the more they like American Heritage Girls. So we thank you for this opportunity.
Well, listen, I was very excited about it. I heard about it before my daughter was of age. I think she was 2 or 3, and I believe I heard about it on the Mark Levin radio program. And I remember it was in my head, and I think I even forgot the name AHG. But when she turned 5, I immediately went online and looked it up, and I didn't remember, does she have to be 5 or 6? But when I found out and saw it, I was happy to see it was time. And sure enough, we had one pretty close to our home, and she has started as a 5-year-old, and she loves it. We go every other week and also do a lot of missionary work and other things along those lines, and they're having a lot of fun, and let's just say she wishes it was more than every other week.
Oh, that's great.
Recently, Patti, the Girl Scouts of America called Wendy Davis, a gubernatorial candidate in Texas, an incredible woman. Well, this incredible woman has an alarming record when it comes to abortion. She's a pro-abortion activist. How disturbing is it that the Girl Scouts would promote this woman?
Well, it is very disturbing, and although I don't really want to comment about another organization, we were founded for the very reason that parents need a Christ-honoring and life-honoring alternative. These decisions are really important for young girls to know that life begins at conception, and it doesn't end until natural death, and these are important issues, and American Heritage Girls does not stand with Wendy Davis by any means.
The Girl Scouts also had this guy, I'm sure you heard of, Joshua Ackley. He's the lead singer of what they call the homo punk band, the Dead Betties, and as he was their main media spokesman for the Girl Scouts. Now, he has since been removed after complaints came in following a Breitbart piece about his lewd after-hours behavior, shall we say. But the fact that he was even associated with the Girl Scouts in an official capacity is scary. It boggles the mind to me because, you said you were a leader and you were also a Scout. My sister was in the Scouts. Friends were in it. It's what I say about AHG when they don't have a lot of time and I want to try to tell them what it's about, I try to say, well, it's what the Girl Scouts was or is supposed to be.
Well, I would hope so, and I do believe who your spokespeople are should really emulate and represent what you stand for. And when we choose our spokespeople at American Heritage Girls, they are the epitome of what we stand for. I think that says a lot.
Girl Scouts, as you mentioned, also moved away from God over the years and have changed some other things. Do you find a lot of moms and dads just don't realize this when they sign their kids up and just assume it's the same Girl Scouts from years ago? Because I think it's an innocent situation for most. I talk to people and, they're looking for what my daughter's getting in AHG, but they don't realize that there's an alternative. And when they sign up for Girl Scouts, I think a lot of the moms were in it, or some of the older siblings perhaps, before some of these radical changes were employed.
Tradition's a powerful thing. To create traditions and to create favoritism because of that tradition is something that American Heritage Girls hopes to instill in the hearts and minds of our members. But when reality comes into play, when things change, when agendas are changed from their origins or from their founders' dreams or visions, it's time for parents to look up and wake up and to know that they must show their children the way they should go. That's their responsibility. And although it may be inconvenient to do something different or against the natural norm, it's still the right thing. Apathy is the acceptance of the unacceptable. And it's time for America to quit being apathetic and to start looking up and seeing what's really going on out there.
Meantime, AHG is Christ-centered, and you do great things also for our military. Girls learn to respect the flag and our country, and what's not to like there?
That's right. And the girls love learning more about the vets and their sacrifice and to make them feel great and honored for this amazing sacrifice that they have made through their service. And so that's really a strong point. That and service in general. We believe that girls gain the most when they give themselves away. I mean, that's really Christ's principle. And we love to do that. I often think that I'm so concerned about girls today, and every time I'm able to meet with girls, my heart gets really filled with a lot of hope and promise, and just wish that they could learn that they are beautiful and talented and designed to be a difference maker. And it's not because they're girls or girl power or any of that, but moreover because of whom they're made in God's image. And I think that if a girl could just figure this out, that she's woven in His image, there would be no bulimia, no cutting, no promiscuity. All these ills would be gone, and girls could really thrive and be the unique creatures that God created them. So we're excited about the message of American Heritage Girls, and we just can't wait for more families to experience the joy that you've experienced, Kevin, in having your daughter involved.
Yeah, one of the projects she's looking forward to is a Bible signing that they're going to send to the troops. They're going to sign Bibles from the girls and send them to our troops overseas. I think that's a great one. I mean, you walk into this sea of red, white, and blue every meeting between the American flag and the AHG flag. And I also love to see how the older girls interact with the younger girls because, they look up to them and say, oh, well, I'm going to get that vest next year or that patch next year. And it's great to have role models right there who are just kids themselves.
Exactly, and it's a powerful reason for the girls to stay in the troop. And the longer that girls are retained in the HG program, the more it can help them transform into women of integrity, which is fulfilling the mission that we have addressed.
Now, while the Girl Scouts are publicly introducing radicals like Wendy Davis and this spokesperson they had. I look at the values of AHG, and they're so American. That's the other thing. I mean, I know it's in the title, American Heritage Girls, but I can't stress that enough when I talk to other parents. It's so American. And, I would think someone like Sarah Palin would be a more suited role model for young girls, a Christian woman, self-made, hard worker who loves her family and nation, and instead they're wheeling out some of these characters that you wouldn't want adults to look at, let alone kids.
I couldn't agree with you more, Kevin. I often think that Sarah would like American Heritage Girls.
Well, Patty, I want to thank you personally. My 5-year-old's a Pathfinder in AHG right now. She absolutely loves it, and we look forward to camping that's coming up. That's going to be a first and wild. I think they're even letting my son on that, so pray for everyone if that occurs. But we look forward to all that lies ahead. It's just been great so far.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for the opportunity.
And the AHG oath is, I promise to love God, cherish my family, honor my country, and serve in my community. That sums it up. It's a great program. Patty, before I let you run, how can girls join or find out more?
Well, probably the best way is to visit our website. And you could do a Google search for American Heritage Girls or go to www.ahgonline.org.
Patti Garibay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Visit ahgonline.org for all you need to know about American Heritage Girls. There you can also sign your daughter up and even find out how you could start your own troop. Sarah Palin appeared on the Hannity program on Fox News this past week to talk about youth sports. She discussed the state of our kids and sports today. As a former athlete herself and a parent of children who played competitive sports, she spoke from experience when commenting on a clip from the new Esquire Network show Friday Night Tykes. It's a program that chronicles the hard-nosed techniques of coaches of young football players. Palin said, I agree. Too many American kids are pampered, they're coddled, and they need discipline. And the way to motivate kids, though, is not necessarily through fear, not at that age especially. She mentions Lou Holtz. She says he said it best years ago when he talked about self-discipline leading to success and self-motivation. Palin says coaches, if they want to get their kids to understand that self-motivation is so needed at an early age, well, it doesn't necessarily need to be through intimidation and fear. These coaches seem to be wanting to not look bad, Palin went on to say. And she says she can guarantee a coach can be defeated if that's his goal, is to just not look bad. Palin went on to say it's all about common sense, saying, quote, the good coaches know when it cannot be crossed, and they know kind of the demographic that they're working with in terms of the age group, and they should be discerning enough to know what will motivate the kids, unquote. Also, this past week, after Sarah Palin urged girls to get outside and pose with fish instead of taking so many selfies in front of the mirror, her 12-year-old Piper had a little fun. Piper and her basketball teammate posted a picture of the two of them in front of a mirror taking a selfie, but they were holding fish, 3 in fact, even though they were only the design on a towel. Palin lauded Piper's sense of humor, calling it clever. But then enter the weirdos. The online hate started from those with Palin derangement syndrome. They took to the internet to make disgusting comments about the Palin family. Cowards picking on children from their computers. But the good news is, while they continue to live a life of hate, Governor Palin and her family are doing their thing, living normal lives and smiling every day. Good for them. And Piper, we thought the picture was great. To see any of the governor's posts in their entirety, you can visit Sarah Palin's Facebook page and follow her on Twitter at Sarah Palin USA.
It's time for Commonwealth Common Sense with Susan Stimson and Kevin Scholla.
Hey, Susan, how are you?
Kevin, I'm doing great. Nice to be back with you.
Well, good to have you here. And, we've been talking a bit over the last few weeks about the Republican Party and the real war going on within it. And, you have Tea Party members, and then you have more of the old guard, if you will, and now some new salvos being thrown this past week.
I think so, and I was speaking with someone who's been in this business for a long time and was even involved at the sort of at the end in politics with Reagan, and just talking about how this is not anything that's really new. You're seeing this struggle that it happens over and over. It's just going to be that clash of which direction is our party going to go, but you can see some of the people who are trying to change the way that we've been doing things. They're saying, stop the carpet bombing to those who are in the GOP establishment that are just coming in and just trying to chop off the head of their base. And you're seeing that in Virginia as well. There are companion bills that are going through the House and the Senate and the Virginia State Legislature that would effectively ban conventions, and it would effectively end either political party their ability of choosing the method that they would use to nominate their candidates who would be on the ballot. So it's just the more control that they feel they're losing, the more control they're going to try to take, and it's really a fight that needs to happen.
And while you're definitely right, it's not new. I mean, we've certainly seen battles within the party before, but I certainly would say it's different because, you know, you mentioned Reagan and whatnot. I mean, a lot of that was, oh, you know, someone's here on taxes or someone's here on NAFTA or someone's here on, you know, a social issue a little bit different than the others. But here you have these, you know, entrenched members of Washington bureaucrats who are going against Tea Partiers who really are, you know, all about the Constitution. So it's almost saying like, you know, well, we're for the Constitution and, you know, well, we kind of are as long as it goes our way.
Well, I would agree, and it's so much more, how do you define what the Tea Party is? I mean, they're using it more as a weapon by calling different people that, but I would say that this is just reaching such deeper levels within the base of the Republican Party, watching their leaders do the opposite of what our creed says and the opposite of what they campaign on. And so it really is also an information age now, and where the establishment used to be able to really control the message. With the coming of the social media and the information age, the information's getting out there and they can't control it as much as they want, and the people are pushing back.
Look at how much Ted Cruz has been able to do even with this friction. I mean, imagine if the party would get around him and say, hey, we got a star here and someone that could be very powerful. I mean, they struck out so many times with these moderate candidates that they keep rolling out and recycling. And here, instead, they leave these guys to fend for themselves, still doing a good job. But, I mean, they're really missing the boat in so many ways.
I'm going to borrow from a phrase that went out from the Campaign for Liberty here in Virginia. Basically what the establishment is saying, shut up and do what we say. And that's not what this whole democratic experience has been about here in America. It's all about each of us having a voice, and each of us, we are the government. You know, this is our government and we are the government, and we have every right to be in this fight because we have principles that we care about and that we think are really fundamental to the success of our country.
I noticed the other day, or I've noticed a few times, and then I just remembered it again, and I kind of looked around and said, yeah, it kind of validates it. You know, when someone, even if you win or lose a presidential election, a lot of times people keep the bumper stickers on the cars like a long time afterwards, you know, even if it was years later. And you saw a lot of the old Bush stickers from both years. You certainly see the Democrat stickers. You see a lot of the McCain-Palin stickers. I know a guy down the road, he ripped the McCain part off. It just says Palin. But you know, it's funny. We just had an election last year. I never see Romney-Ryan stickers anywhere. And I think that it's just, you know, an eye test there that shows you, yeah, you know, they voted against Obama, but nobody's really passionate against a moderate ticket like that. And, you know, I think if you had a Ted Cruz or someone along those lines, you'd see that passion again, and those stickers would still be up.
I think the theme that we're seeing and what we're hearing from the people is they just want someone that's going to get in there and not be afraid to say what they believe and to actually follow through on what they believe and to be honest about what their intentions are and their policies and really actually do what they promised they would do on the campaign trail.
Yeah, it'd be a novel approach. All right, Susan, thanks.
Thanks, Kevin.
Susan Stimson in Virginia. More Commonwealth Common Sense next week. Now, our weekly commentary, Steel Resolve. Here's Sarah Steelman.
Thanks, Kevin. Isn't it ironic? Remember that song by Alanis Morissette? That's what I thought to myself when I listened to Obama's press secretary, Jay Carney, respond to questions about the Iranian president's comments. Rouhani told a crowd, do you know what the Geneva Agreement means? It means the surrender of the big powers before the great Iranian nation. Yes, it hurts to even repeat it. Jay Carney's response? It doesn't matter what they say. What matters to us is what Iranian leaders do, what Iran does in keeping its commitments in this agreement. Well, that says it all, doesn't it? In other words, hey, we know you have to lie to your own citizens, but we still trust you, and we know you didn't mean that the United States really surrendered anything. We're going to lift those sanctions anyway because what you say to your own people doesn't matter to us. We still trust you. Many Republicans and Democrats don't agree with the president's position. They don't trust Iran and believe that we should keep stronger sanctions in place. They are adamantly advising President Obama that we don't go in this direction. Unfortunately, if Iran achieves its stated goal of becoming a nuclear power, those words will ring in our ear. Isn't it ironic? It's the good advice that you just didn't take. Who would have thought? It figures. This is Sarah Steelman for SaraNet Radio.
Tune in again next week for another segment of Steel Resolve right here on the Palin Update. The Palin Update, including Commonwealth Common Sense and Steel Resolve, is on demand and available for download. So just head to SaraNetRadio.net, pick the show you want to hear, and you can listen anywhere, anytime. That'll just about do it for this edition of the Palin Update on SaraNet Radio. Visit SaraNetRadio.net for continuing coverage of Governor Palin. Also, follow along on Twitter at SaraNet Radio, at Kevin Scholla, at Susan B. Stimson, and at Sarah_Steelman. For a full recap of everything you hear on the Palin Update, plus more news regarding Governor Palin, head to our Facebook page and like SaraNet Radio. Also like Kevin Scholla on Facebook. Palin Patriots is our feature on SaraNet.net. Check out the writings from our great panel of contributors, including Martha Zoller, Vader Carmoot, and Dan Bongino. And I'm doing some writing for Breitbart News. Just go to Breitbart.com and search Kevin Scholla. I want to thank Sarah Steelman, Susan Stimson, and everyone here at SaraNet Radio. Thanks to Patti Garibay, and thank you for listening today. Please be sure to join us again next time for another edition of the Palin Update. I'm Kevin Scholla. Have a pleasant day.